Yeah, thank you very much, brother Daniel, for your time. I'm very happy today to have uh, like a speaker from Ghana for the first time. I didn't have earlier any direct engagement with people from your country, so you are the first person. I know the Black Stars, your football team. I also know a little bit about democracy and like the way of life, especially the political environment in Ghana. We are very proud of Ghana, and yeah, a lot of Ethiopians who are like joining the Youth and Education Support Service Forum. Also, there are people that follow us on LinkedIn and different platforms on YouTube, Facebook. So I just thought like your experience is a very good starting point to introduce you to the Ethiopian friends, also for you to kind of tell us about Ghana. So let's start by who's Daniel? Like, what did you do in Ghana, and how did you come to United States? Let's start from there and can continue.
All right, thank you, Fikadu, for this wonderful opportunity to share my insights and then my life with my friends from Ethiopia. I have a very strong connection with people from Ethiopia.
Thank you.
I've met a couple of Ethiopian friends, Zebiba,
Yeah, Zabiba, yeah.
A lot of people I've met from Ethiopia, either in Ghana or the US, and I have a very strong connection with Ethiopian people. My name is Daniel. I'm a Ghanaian, in fact, a very proud Ghanaian. I was born and bred in Ghana. I'm a professional teacher. I had my degree in education. I had my master's in education. And in the last 12 years, I was running an NGO in education where we support educational facilities in rural communities. We help train teachers, and then we provide educational teaching materials for schools in deprived communities. So I was doing this for the last 12 years, and finally, I thought it was time for me to give myself a break and to pursue my personal future career ambitions, which was to do a PhD in education. That will give me the platform to be able to really push and advocate properly for people who are underprivileged in education. And so I put a break on my career this year to come to UNL in the US to pursue my PhD in education. And I was so happy to have met you, and you have been a great support to me since my arrival. And I think we can continue from there.
Well, thank you very much. That was a very nice introduction. And I love the points about helping rural schools in Ghana with different ways. And yeah, we also in Ethiopia, we have problems in education quality. This year, the national exam, the university entrance exam result was like very disappointing. And a lot of us are discussing about what should we do, like what's our role in improving the education quality. This also aligns with my mission at Youth and Education Support Service Ethiopia. So tell us a little bit more about like how did you start your school support program, and like what are the lessons you learned so far, and what can people learn from you? What advice do you give to the Ethiopian and African youth?
Okay, thank you so much. So one thing I would say is that I got into this job as my very first job. I was very young. I was 21 years when I got into this job. And within the period, I had worked to provide a full model school that had a kindergarten, a primary school, junior high school, teachers facility, and a host of other facilities in the school to help a rural community. And it was like a model school that we hoped to replicate in other places, other rural communities in the country. The challenge with rural education is that many times these schools in the rural communities do not have the facilities like those in the urban areas.
Yep.
But they are competing with them for the same slots, the same space in the senior high schools. So the system we run in Ghana is that we have a centralized exam system called the Basic Education Certificate Examination, where every student has to write this exam. And when you write the exams and you pass, you are given admission in the senior high school where you can attend, and then before that you can go to the university. You understand? So students in the rural areas, are competing with their colleagues in the urban areas for this space in the senior high schools, but they don't have the facilities. Sadly, you can go to some communities and find that they don't even have good classrooms. They don't have enough teachers. They don't even have desks to sit on. They don't even have learning materials, but they are required to pass their exams and go compete with these people in the urban areas. Okay, and one thing that even annoys me is that there's a course that they learn called computer science. They don't have computers, and they're supposed to write exams on computers. And people in the urban areas. So my organization felt that really we cannot allow education to be like this. We know we cannot do everything at the same time, but we can start from somewhere where we can create a model school in a rural community that will help solve some of these problems that the rural communities have. And the challenge we have is that Ghana has a lot of rural communities. In fact, most of the communities in Ghana are rural. We have very few urban centers, but most of them are rural. And then the challenge is that providing schools for all these places is very difficult. Providing all the materials for all these places in this time of economic crunch, it's a very difficult thing. And so non-governmental organizations have to come in, support the efforts of the government. And my organization saw the need to build a school at a very vantage point where about 10 different communities could access that school. And that school will provide all the basic amenities that urban schools in the city should provide in that community. And so it really gave the children a feel of how urban education looks like. And it helped bridge the gap between the inequalities between the urban schools and then the rural schools. And that for me was fantastic. And it showed up in the results of the school. When the students of that school were to write the exams at the national level, they passed. Many of them got the chance to go to senior high schools because the quality they were getting in the rural areas was standard and it could match it with other urban areas. And so that for me is the way we should go. We cannot develop all rural communities like the urban schools are, but we can build very good rural schools with all the facilities that all children within these rural areas can come together to benefit, can access these schools and benefit those things. And then together we can be able to change education. Because mind you, the question I've always asked myself is this: a child in the rural area is a child of the country. They are there because of their circumstance, right? Does it mean that they don't have the right to education? No. When the right to education was enshrined in the Constitution, it didn't say it gave more rights to those in urban areas than those in rural areas. It was a right for every other person, every other Ghanaian, every other Ethiopian to access that education. You get the point? But the issue is that we cannot all come to the city. So some people must be in the rural areas and farm and produce food for us. Now, whilst these people are producing food for us, their children are supposed to go to school. So can't we put up good schools in these places that feed the urban areas? So those children there will also go to school, improve their livelihood, improve their farming methods, so that they can continue to provide more food for us and help us build our country. Where our continent Africa is now, we need to have people who are ready to move everybody on board. Africa's development cannot leave people behind. We must carry everybody to the table. Every African child matters. And so we should not leave any child untouched. Any child should not suffer any form of inequality because we say we don't have enough resources. We should find a way to create education that would encompass all the children, whether in rural communities or in urban areas, but give them the standardized equipment and materials they need to be able to complete the system of education. That for me is fundamental. And I think that the more African leaders get to realize this and know that our transformation as Africa to the level we want is incomplete if we ignore these aspects of education. Rural education is a very important aspect of our education that needs to really be upholded, because for me, it really matters, and that is where we need to start focusing our attention.
Wow, thank you very much. Yeah, I think this really like some of the problems we have in Ethiopia, like it's a very big problem. I know the difference between urban and rural areas. The children in villages, they really struggle, I know, in most parts of Ethiopia. While around the capital city, regional towns, we like the gap, the education quality difference is huge. Like
Yeah.
all the best teachers, better experienced teachers would like to move to urban areas from villages, So the villages are a kind of like, even they couldn't qualify to be a very good training grounds for gets practicing and having the best professionals. Thank you very much. So how can people collaborate with you on this before I continue to the best democracy in Africa? I would like to ask you, like, maybe there are people from Ghana or from other parts of the world. This can be donors who would like to work with you or like-minded people. So where do you like partnership to start? Like, what are your models? Yeah, would you say a
Okay,
little
so
bit about that?
when it comes to partnership,
Yeah.
say we always welcome that because our hands, our vision is big, but our resources are limited, And so getting partnerships is a very good way to support the progress of the work we do. And for me, all I will say is that we have schools that need desk, we have schools that need teaching materials, we have schools that need accommodation for their teachers so that these teachers would stay in the rural community and stay with the school. Because when they go to the rural areas and they don't find places to stay, they all move back to the cities and then these schools do not get teachers. So for me, we are looking at this in three different forms. One, the provision of teaching learning materials in the school. Two, the provision of infrastructure in terms of furniture, in terms of buildings. And then the three, looking at how to build the capacity of these teachers in the rural communities. These are the three different forms in which we seek partnerships. So if people are interested to come us and help train our teachers better in the rural areas so that they can be able to give best services like those in the urban areas, we welcome that. If anybody also wants to adapt the village and provide some of these resources for them, we welcome them. That if anybody also wants to provide us with teaching learning materials or give us books or computers, we welcome this as well. So we are always open to every level of partnership. So for us, it's going to come a long way to support our efforts in these rural communities. We welcome them 100%.
Thank you very much. I think, do you have a website? If you have a website, write it on the chat box so that I'll show them or name of the school.
Yeah,
or,
yeah, I'm going to put that to you. Yeah.
You can also share the screen if you like to show it from your computer as possible.
So currently we had a website, but I think it was pulled down because of 1 or 2 reasons. And we are still trying to put it back online, but we have a LinkedIn page and also a Facebook page.
Yeah. Maybe you can tell me, or you can also show it.
I guess put it in the chat and then we see.
Okay. Thank you. So then the next question I would like to ask you, as you send me the link to your school pages. We know a lot of Ethiopians might not know that Ghana have the best democracy in Africa. And these days, for Ethiopians, we have been going through conflicts, within country conflicts between different groups. And I always think like how maybe Ethiopians, we should learn from other countries in Africa. And thank God now you are with me here at University of Nebraska Lincoln. So we're friends and we have been discussing, as you know. So I wanted to expand the discussion so that other Ethiopians can also learn from you. So can you tell us a little bit about the democracy? How did Ghana achieve like the best democracy in Africa? And what can Ethiopia learn from you? Like, how do Ghana manage the differences? Like, I'm very sure there can be differences in language or, ethnic groups and the like, or political differences. Please speak about that.
All right. Thank you so much. Let me say that Ghana's democracy is not just perfect as we all want it. There are still rooms for improvement in Ghana, but I know that Ghana has also shown a kind of example that people can learn from. Okay, so I'm just throwing this caveat out that Ghana's democracy is not the perfect democracy we have in Africa.
Yeah.
We as citizens of Ghana are still praying and working daily to improve that democracy. Okay, but then we have some things that other countries could learn from to also start from and also try to improve their system. Having said that, let me start off by saying that Ghana has in the past was not as stable before. Ghana was not as stable before because in the past Ghana had several coup d'etats after our independence. We had one in 1966, we had one in 1972, we had another one in 1974, 1976, And then we had another one 1979 and 1981. So our coups were very consistent. Coup d'etats were very consistent. But then it got to a point where we all felt that we are tired of these coup d'etats. We are tired of all this instability as a country. And so we need to come together and see what we can do for our country. So we had a new constitution in 1992 that allowed us to have elections. And that took us to our fourth republic because we had 3 different republics that had been overthrown by coup d'etats. So we're in our fourth republic. And since then, since 1992 till now, that's over 30 years, we have not had any coup d'etat again.
Wow, nice.
We've had the elections about 7-8 times of elections, and all have been very consistent. We have successfully changed power to different governments over and over again. And for me, that has been an effort from all the people in Ghana. Christians, Muslims, all the ethnic groups, everybody has contributed massively towards this great feat in Ghana. However, I must admit that there are still some points in our democracy that people are still talking about that needs improvement. Okay. And daily, we are still discussing among ourselves. We are still talking among ourselves to see how best we can be able to improve upon our democracy. Oftentimes, people have always said that if you want to divide people, you first start by using religion. If it fails, you use politics. If it fails, then you use ethnicity, and then succeed. One thing that our leaders in Ghana have done perfectly and have done so well that I think has contributed massively to democracy we have is that we have built a culture where people are tolerant about the religion of other people. We have built a system where people are very tolerant about the religion of other people. For example, my mother is a Muslim and my father is a Christian. And they have been married for a very long time. There is no issue about that, right? It is only in Ghana you will find pastors going to the mosque and then the chief imam going to the church. You get the point? That level of religious tolerance, where we do not see each other based on our religion, is one of the contributory factors to where Ghana is today. And I know very well that great effort has been put in by several people in the past to create interreligious dialogue between Christians and Muslims and other religious tribes, other religious groups, I mean, in trying to build this kind of system that we all see today. And so on the angle of religion, Ghana has done very well. Though I must admit that there are still some people who are extremists, who sometimes see things beyond the line where everybody sees them. Those people are still there. But because majority are religiously intolerant, those people do not have any strong effects on the system. But there are still some people who are still extremists, who are still trying to throw in some tantrums every time and about. But then those people do not have enough control, and so they're not able to do what they want. But also, we are consistently working on building that religious tolerance. That is going to continue to support Ghana's growth. Secondly, Ghana has also has done a lot in terms of media freedom, which I believe is one of the contributing factors to democracy. Ghana is a very small country, 30-something million people, maximum 31 million people. We have more than 500 radio stations in Ghana.
Wow.
More than 500 radio stations in Ghana. That's those that are registered. We have several other people running programs on social media, on YouTube, on Facebook, on X, on any of the platforms. They have live programs, people joining, people speak their mind. You get that. And in the past, we had a problem whereby people could not criticize the government. When you criticize the government, they take you to court, they jail you and stuff like that. Those were in the past. But luckily for us, the criminal libel law has been repealed, where everybody can say every other thing that they want. Everything that they want. Okay, I'm just correcting it. It's not 500 universities, but 500 radio stations.
Yeah, radio stations, yes.
Radio stations, yes.
Yeah.
So people have freedom to speak their mind. Okay, And in these radio stations, you would find that some of these radio stations belong to the states. The country itself has some radio stations, the government radio stations. Also, private people also own, in fact, majority of them are owned by private individuals. And then they have their own programming. They decide what content to share, what to do, and everything. Okay. Aside that, also, there are some particular radio stations that belong to individuals who belong to political parties. And so you can term those radio stations as belonging to a particular group of political party. We allow that. We have no problem with that. And it's wonderful that people are able to go about their duties, and nothing is wrong with that. You get the point. So for me, the media freedom has allowed people to also understand democracy and has given them the free will to participate in the democracy. They can speak their mind, they can freely say whatever they want to say without anybody coming to arrest them, without anybody beating them. Though I must admit that sometimes there are some few individuals who have come out to attack journalists and media stations because of one or two things, but then it's very isolated. It's very isolated. And so, having said that, media has contributed massively to the development of Ghana's democracy. Our religious leaders, our media has contributed so much. And also, the last people that I would like to add is the individual citizens of Ghana. You know, we have appreciated coup d'etats in the past, and we appreciate democracy, which grants us the freedom to go about our duties freely without any form of restriction. And we have made a choice as a people that we want to go the way of democracy. It is one thing to accept something, and it's another thing to practice it. In Ghana, we have freely accepted democracy.
Nice.
And we are freely practicing it. You get the point? So we understand that the way to choose our leaders is to go to a poll, to go to an election, and everybody has the right to go and cast their ballot for whoever they want. Nobody's going to force you to do anything. It's what you want that you go to do. Okay, and when people have the free will to choose whatever they want, then it's a good starting point in the democracy. You get the point? If after the elections, we can all come together and rally around one person and say, okay, this is the person that everybody has chosen, whether I voted for the person or not. This is the leader that the majority have chosen. So we are all supporting him to succeed. That is democracy. Accepting the fact that you have an opinion, somebody else has an opinion, and whoever has the majority on their side becomes the leader. It's democracy in itself. That is what Ghanaians have appreciated over the course of these 30 years. And that is what has kept Ghana as a glowing light of democracy in Africa. I must admit, and I admit definitely that there are several other points in our democracy where people feel that we need to amend our constitution. We need to limit the powers of the president. We need to limit the powers of parliament. We need to improve the judiciary. We need to improve a lot of things in our country. But then, that alone is an indication that our democracy is growing. Because if people can freely express the points that we must limit the president's power, it means that they have the free will to speak their mind.
Yep.
It means that they are seeing some things that are not working well with the constitution, and then they feel that an improvement of that constitution would better make democracy work. It's an expression of democracy in itself. You get the point? If people can really come out and criticize parliament and say, what parliament did on this, we don't agree with them, we don't suggest, they should make an improvement on what they did. Also, it's an improvement of democracy. You get the point? Democracy allows room for dissenting views. And so in Ghana, people dissent every day. You can just go on Facebook Live to check some of the media stations, just find people dissenting every day. There are political talk shows where they can invite 3 different political parties on the show. Everybody's speaking their mind. Nobody fights. Just a sharing of ideas. And we accept all that. Okay. That for me is one of the things that is improving Ghana's democracy. So the media, our religious leaders, and then the people themselves have agreed that this is what can give us development. This is what can give us the right to live our lives freely. And so we must all find a way to come together to solve or to protect this democracy. That is what they have done in the last 18 years. There are several other people who have contributed that I have not brought into this conversation because I feel that they are important. But I really classify these three main pillars as the reasons why Ghana's democracy is where it is today.
Yeah, I'm very happy. Thank you very much. I think this would, I would also invite you again to our live session in LinkedIn today. We're on Zoom because our session is on Saturday morning, like it's 9 a.m. here in Lincoln, Nebraska, 5 p.m. in Ethiopia. We'll have more people like today, only double eyes listening. Of course, I didn't give them I just wanted us to start and then people would, have the chance to follow the discussions later. I'm going to share with them. But yeah, how is your Saturday like? Are you busy on Saturday mornings?
I can work something out on Saturday.
Yeah, it's like, let's think about my session is always ongoing on Saturday. Saturday morning is the time I commit to answer questions to the Ethiopian.
I'll make room for you, just for you.
Yeah, so please just commit the time. And then I really like, especially the education piece, what you are doing, the rural schools capacity building in Ghana. I think this can be a very good lesson for youth and education support service Ethiopia. In the meantime, also we discuss the big picture, our Africa or Ethiopia or Ghana, how we, ensure, democracy and then minimize the conflict and war among the people that we care about, our people, our Africa. So I think you gave me a very good background, especially in terms of 500 different media radio stations in Ghana. This is like very big. And then also the religious tolerance and then how people, accept leaders and then work toward this improving the democracy and the administration system is very appreciated. I really love that happen. If that would happen in Ethiopia, it's a dream. I'm very sure it will come, so that's why we make this discussion also. We discuss the big picture, also we take specific actions. I'm thinking like this can be one way for you also to reach out to people in the diaspora, the Ghanaian community, the African community, other donor organizations, even here at UNL, me and you, I'm kind of trying to build a small nonprofit here in the United States. So we have a chance to discuss more. And so if you have any other points to add, please, I give you the chance. Then it's a very good intro. So we'll go to like the LinkedIn sessions on Saturday.
So, let me just add that Ghana and Ethiopia have always been very close friends.
Mm-hmm.
The time of our first president, Kwame Nkrumah, who was a great Pan-Africanist, who was fighting for one Africa.
Yeah.
And even with the organization of the African Union, with its head office in Ethiopia, it showed how Nkrumah and Ethiopia had a very great bond. And sometimes for me, it's so sad. I see the news every time in Ethiopia, and I feel very sad sometimes that we have allowed our individual interests to supersede that of our national interest. Sometimes I feel so sad when I see people suffering, and then I see that the suffering is being invoked by their own people on them.
Yeah.
I feel a bit sad about that. But all in all, we are all Africa.
Yeah.
And just like Nkrumah said, if one part of Africa is not free, the whole of Africa is not free.
Not free, yeah.
If one part of Africa is not having peace of mind, like Ethiopia is not having, the whole of Africa is not having peace of mind. Yeah. And so we all as citizens of Africa, as one people of Africa, of one race, we must all rise up to see how best we can be able to support Ethiopia and all the other countries in Africa that are having conflicts, internal conflicts with them. Because for me, that's really is what it is. Our boundaries have been created by the Europeans through the Berlin Accord. And for me, that really doesn't divide us.
Yeah.
Okay, those were just physical barriers, but emotionally, in my mind, I have no barrier. I see any African person as my brother, no matter wherever I find them. And so for me, it's really important that we all contribute to making Ethiopia and all the other African countries that are having trouble at home in terms of political differences and all these tribal and ethnic differences, to find a way to come to lasting peace so that the people of those countries can be able to develop. The question I always ask myself is that, who are you leading? Would you still be a leader if all your people die?
Yeah.
If all your people die, would you still be a leader? No, who are you going to lead? Are you going to lead
Yeah.
cattle? You can't
Yeah.
lead cattle, right? So we need our human beings to be alive for us to be able to lead them. There's a saying that there's no big issue that you use guns to solve. Even when we use guns, we may still end up at the table to talk about the issues.
Yeah.
So why do we have to use the guns?
Mm.
When we end up at the table, why don't we just go to the table to talk?
Mm.
Why don't we use dialogue? What are we fighting over? Why can't we bring that to a table and talk about that? And for me, sometimes I feel sad because I see that the AU is not doing enough for me in this situation. Because sincerely, we have the AU head office or headquarters in Ethiopia, in Addis,
Yeah.
right? But Addis is not peaceful, or Ethiopia is not peaceful.
Mm.
And what are we doing to make sure that where our African identity is built, where the AU head office is peaceful enough? Because we cannot say we have our AU head office in Ethiopia, in Addis Ababa, when other parts of that country is not peaceful. And we have the authority to talk about making other places peaceful. How would that work? So for me, I'm a bit disappointed in the efforts of our African Union because they have not really stamped their feet in this whole thing to try to find a lasting peace in Ethiopia's situation and several other countries. And for me, that is the starting point. I always believe that no matter the level of conflict, no matter the challenges that come, in fact, we can find ways to solve these challenges. Okay. And for me, that really is the most important thing. Okay. If we can come together as a people to solve the peace,
Yeah.
peace would give us the opportunity to bring development. If there's no peace, there'll be lack of investment in the country. There'll be lack of resources coming into the country. And that's the country cannot develop. Okay. So we need peace as a fundamental thing in the country to allow for investments and developments to come into that country. And for me, for far too long, Ethiopia has lacked this. Many other countries in Africa have lacked that. But then it's high time we all find a way to come to the table, to share ideas, to resolve our differences, and go back to the drawing table to work for Ethiopia's progress and development. There is no issue in this world that we use guns to solve. No issue. After using the guns, we will still talk. So why don't we just talk and ignore the guns? Why don't we just talk and ignore the guns? Why are we killing ourselves whilst enriching other people? Because we buy the guns from other people to kill ourselves.
Yeah.
And we build their economies with the monies we pay to them, and we buy the guns. And we use these guns to kill ourselves and to retard our own progress and development. So for me, it's high time we all come to the table and ignore all the political differences, ignore all the ethnic differences. Because in the end, if you are an Ethiopian, I'm a Ghanaian, I'm a Nigerian, he's a Chadian or whatever, when you cut my body, you're going to find blood. And you cannot know from the blood whether this one is an Ethiopian's blood or this is a Nigerian's blood. So it means that we are one people.
Yeah.
Okay, we don't choose the tribe we belong to. We are born into it. And that should not be a determinant of how we progress as a country because we don't have control over it. And that is the reason why we don't have to allow that thing to be a determinant in how we progress as a country. For me, Ethiopians and all other countries in Africa that have internal conflicts should come to the table. Let us talk about these issues. Let us brainstorm about how we can solve them. Let the AU take bold initiatives. Let the AU come out and speak to the people and tell them that whatever is happening, bring it to the table and let's resolve these issues. Let's make our AU strong. The reason why Africa has not been able to push its own development agenda is because the AU has been very weak. The AU has never been strong like the EU. The AU has never been strong like the BRICS.
Mm.
Okay, we need our AU to be strong to be able to determine policy and make a statement in world politics. For now, people in Israel are killing people in Palestine, right? Have you heard AU issuing a statement? No. AU has nothing to say.
Mm.
But Africa is 50 big countries. Africa is the biggest continent in the world. Right? Why are we quiet? Why are we silent? Why are we quiet? Why are we silent? When all these atrocities are happening, even in our own continent, we aren't saying enough. So we don't even have the moral right to go talk about Israel and Palestine because even in our own backyard, we are not doing enough. And for me, that is a huge disappointment for me as a person who has traveled in Africa, and I know a lot of things that are happening that we could do to help support our own people. I think our AU has been very negligent. It has been very, very, very important in trying to solve some of these issues that confront the African people. So for me, Ethiopians themselves have their own destinies in their hands. Africans have their own destinies in their hands. We need to make a choice. Do we want to destroy our lives because of our ethnicity or our political differences? Or we'll put all these things behind and come together as one people to help build our country? The option is always ours. The choice is always ours to make. And for me, I would choose putting everything behind and coming together as one unit to help develop our country. Because that, for me, is what is fundamental. The rest is not beneficial. To what end would the fighting bring? Who benefits from the fighting? And that, for me, is fundamental. That's one thing that we should ask ourselves. That's no matter what happens, we are still human beings. We are still brothers and sisters. And dialogue is the way to go, not fighting.
Thank you, brother. So that's really a very good intro, and I'm very sure people can take lesson and like take it constructively, especially the African Union element. We'll keep discussing that. Maybe we'll make it one of our agendas during the Saturday meeting. Because today I rather wanted to just have a small intro about you, also about the basic democracy in Africa, about Ghana, and lessons we should learn. So African Union by itself is one very big topic, and maybe we'll invite someone from there and to just join us and learn with us and help the young people in our forum to get some inspirations and ideas, also to contribute towards a better African Union. So I really thank you very much for your time. So this is the beginning. We can have like session number 1, 2, 3, or whatever. We can give it different topics so that we can invite guest speakers and allow like question and answer. I already see Dabala was like listening from the beginning. So he mentioned about like peace is the first issue and it's only resolved by discussion. That's really a very important point. So thank you, brother Dabala, also for listening.
Thank you.
Brother Daniel, he's from Ghana. We're doing a PhD here together. So he's a brother, my brother now. I'm kind of introducing him to all the Ethiopians. And so that
okay, you are studying at one position?
Yeah, we're in the same university here as the University of Nebraska Lincoln.
Okay. Or you are only using internet? Okay.
Yeah, now we're on Zoom, but we'll be like, because we always talk to each other, but we want this message to go to different parts of the country, to Africa, and also we just want to see how this thing works. And because there is a little bit political discussion here, we don't want to make people misunderstand. We don't want to add to the fire. So with this discussion, we want to see what they say, and then hopefully a lot of people will be interested to hear more. So, brother Daniel, have a nice time.
Thank you for your experience also, brother Daniel.
Yeah, and so if you have any comments, please, I give you the chance to speak because you are listening. And
okay. Yeah. I don't start from the beginning, but after some minutes, yes, I joined your meeting. It is very nice, and from brother, I think his name is Daniel, yeah?
Yeah, his
Daniel
name is
or Daniel. Daniel. So I have seen some good experience from Daniel, and also as soon as if it is applied in our country in Ethiopia, it is very nice. So as the recent case also about the student failure in the exam.
Yeah.
So that case is also, as he stated, they may use some medias and some other media and networks for resolving of the or to make the student to pass the exam. They use different techniques. If we use this method in our country, also the problem may be our problem may be resolved.
Yeah.
And also our authority must be taken this measurement, I think. And also many suggestion may be there. And also thank you for your comment, for your ideas and for your experience, brother Daniel. And also thank you, Fike.
Thank you. So this is about youth and education support service, Now we're making youth and education support service. It used to be youth and education support service Ethiopia. Now we're trying to expand and make this thing happen here in United States, connect with the African diaspora. So we'll have youth and education support service registered here in United States as a non-profit. And that would open doors for me and for Daniel also to work together and then support our missions in Africa. We invite other African friends also just to join the discussion. So Saturday, 5 p.m. East African time. It's 9 a.m. here in Nebraska. So not this Friday, but we'll find the best time because this session is ongoing. And Brother Daniel will have more time to discuss with many African fellows on LinkedIn and the like. So
Okay,
have
okay,
a nice time and
have a nice time, both of you.
class. I'm ending here. So thank you, Danny. Have a nice time.
Thank you, my brother.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Have a nice time.